Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Carson, is there anything that you would like to say using my time?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, sometimes I get a little bit tired of people ascribing to me things that people have said that I believe. And I appreciated an opportunity to say this. When I say that poverty is largely a state of mind, what I am saying is that the way that people approach things has a lot to do with what happens to them. If your mindset is one that I'm a victim and that everybody else is in control of my life and I just need to sit here and wait for them to do something for me, you're going to approach life very differently from somebody who says, I am going to take this issue into my own hands. It was one of the things that I learned from my mother. You know, she came from a very large rural family, got married when she was 13, later on discovered her husband was a bigamist, had only a third-grade education, worked 3 jobs at a time. But the one thing about my mother, she was never a victim, and she never allowed us to be victims. And that was very important. And she did that for other members of our family, too, who were in a very bad situation. And she convinced them that they didn't have to be there, and they came out of that situation. She was really quite an interesting person. Now, I realize that not everybody has a mother like mine, but I also recognize that we, as a society, would do much better if we stop sitting around trying to tear each other apart and start saying, what can we do to change the attitudes and to create different outcomes from people? And there are those who allow themselves to be manipulated into just creating dissension rather than trying to figure out a way that we can actually solve the problems. Isn't that what this whole government was supposed to be about? Representatives who can help us solve the problems, not people who simply sit there and try to tear things down and try to create dissension and try to create victimhood. We don't need that. We can do much better than that. This is America, the United States of America, a place that rose from nowhere to the pinnacle of the world in record time. Why? Because we created an atmosphere of innovation. Were there mistakes made? Were there problems? Absolutely. Are we a perfect society? We are not, because we consist of human beings. That's why we need a savior. But, you know, we really can do much better than what we're doing if we stop fighting each other and start figuring out how we're going to solve these problems.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here, for your service. You are someone who wants to lift people up and provide more opportunity, not to keep them struggling, but to have all of the abilities, all the tools necessary to be able to rise up out of that situation for a better life. I feel like our country is blessed to have you serving as our Secretary of HUD. It is a calling that hopefully will provide great opportunity for you to empower many Americans desperate for your leadership to help them have that opportunity.
Thank you.
I wanted to speak briefly about veteran homelessness. On any given night, with HUD numbers, 40,000 veterans in the United States are struggling with homelessness. Any veteran who raises their hand willing to serve our country should have a roof over their head. They should have shoes on their feet. They should have food on their table. So the ultimate goal for that number will always be pursuing the permanent solution of zero. We know that voucher programs, which give flexibility to Americans struggling from affordable housing, has been shown to be more effective than the traditional housing project programs. I applaud your efforts to move more to a voucher model at HUD for all housing programs. Earlier, you noted that the agency is making progress, but that the HUD Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing Program is in need of more flexibility to get the vouchers in the right hands and in the right place. Additionally, you spoke about the expansion of public-private partnerships and increasing the collaboration of your agency with local nonprofits to assist in veteran housing. I stand eager to work with you. I'm sure many of my colleagues are as well, with the ultimate goal of getting to zero veteran housing homelessness one day. I thank you again for your leadership. I yield back.
Thank you.